Hi guys, welcome to our latest Together for Business event. So thank you so much for joining us. Today we are focusing on one of the areas for businesses to be aware of as we kind of head into our re-emerging economy, and it's one that's really important for us and to push going forward, as well as for the future of our young people and the future of our successful businesses as well. So I can't overstate how important skills and workforce development is for businesses to consider moving forward. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you'll get a lot out of this. And so we'll have a couple of main presentation is Moiz from MZN Consultancy, will be joining us in a second, and Oumar from Developing Young Workforce will be saying a few words at the end, just to give you an insight into some of the practical considerations and opportunities for taking on young people as apprentices. So that's what we're going to do. Quick bit of housekeeping. If you can click on the chat function, if you have any questions, you can pop them into the chat bar. We'll keep people muted unless they're going to be asking the questions. If you've got a burning question, please do sort of put your hand up either digitally or physically, but there will be an opportunity at the end to ask questions. So yeah, I think that's all we need to do. It's being recorded. I think there's a few notes in the sidebar. We like to share these with a wider audience that maybe can't make it today. Hadn't quite realised that even though I've got a 13-year-old going back on Thursday, that it was back to school week. So I think there'll be a few people panicking after having not been used to that for many months. So so without further ado, I think if I can introduce Moiz to take things from here. Thanks, Moiz.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Damon, you're absolutely right. I'm waiting for children to burst through the door, so I apologise if there was a crash, bang and a wallop going to happen shortly. My name is Moiz Nurbhai. I'm from MZN Consultancy. But before I go into sort of my presentation, I just want to share with you a quick clip. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it. If not, the captions are up, so you'll be able to follow from there. So just going to bring it up for you.
The future, as we know, is very unpredictable. The best minds in the best institutions generally get it wrong. This is in technology. This is in the area of politics, where pundits, the CIA, MI6 always get it wrong, and it's clearly in the area of finance, where the institutions established to think about the future, the IMF, the BIS, the Financial Stability Forum, couldn't see what was coming. Over 20,000 economists whose job it is, competitive entry to get there, couldn't see what was happening. Globalization is getting more complex, and this change is getting more rapid. The future will be more unpredictable. Urbanization, integration, coming together leads to a new renaissance. It did this 1,000 years ago. The last 40 years have been extraordinary times. Life expectancy has gone up by about 25 years. It took from the Stone Age to achieve that. Income has gone up for the majority of the world's population, despite the population going up by about 2 billion people over this period. And illiteracy has gone down from a half to about a quarter of the people on Earth. A huge opportunity, unleashing of new potential for innovation, for development. But there's an underbelly. There are two Achilles heels of globalization. There's the Achilles heel of growing inequality, those that are left out, those that feel angry, those that are not participating. Globalization has not been inclusive. The second Achilles heel is complexity, a growing fragility, a growing brittleness. What happens in one place very quickly affects everything else. This is systemic risk, systemic shock. We've seen it in the financial crisis, we've seen it in the pandemic flu. It will become virulent, and it's something we have to build resilience again. A lot of this is driven by what's happening on technology. There's been huge leaps. There will be a million-fold improvement in what you can get for the same price in computing by 2030. That's what the experience of the last 20 years has been. It will continue. Our computers, our systems will be as primitive as the Apollos are for today. Our mobile phones are more powerful than the total Apollo space engine. Our mobile phones are more powerful than some of the strongest computers of 20 years ago. So what will this do? It will create huge opportunities in technology. Miniaturization as well. There will be invisible capacity in our bodies, in our brains, and in the air. This is a dust mite on a nano replica. This sort of ability to do everything in new ways unleashes potential, not least in the area of medicine.
So that was Professor Ian Goldin, who is a professor at the University of Oxford and a professor of globalization and development. So he started saying the future as we know it is very unpredictable. Changes are becoming more rapid, but there's huge opportunity unleashing of new potential of innovation and development. The presentation goes on to talk about life expectancy, pensions, retirement, migration, systemic risk and climate and pandemics within the financial system issues. If you would like to hear more the rest of the presentation, you can find it on the TED Talks under Ian Godin Global Future. However, what is important, what he talked about, is about the future and its skills that the future workforce will need. And that's what I'm here to talk to you today about. So our agenda going to be in two parts, so hopefully in edible chunks. As we go through the presentation, there's a few questions I'm going to ask the group, so hopefully you're ready to be as interactive as you possibly can. And the questions are on the ThinkPad side. So why should you invest in development? Does your business have a people plan? Current challenges, and as Damon said, we'll have a Q&A session after Oumar has had his presentation. So, is your business thinking ahead? Your people strategy. All businesses are run by people, direct sellers to consumers or to other businesses. What you do impacts everyone. Creating a strategy will give you the long-term focus, confidence, reduce costs in the long term. The pace of change in the last 5 months in where people work, when they work, and the policies to support them has been incredible in terms of the changes that's been made. So is your business thinking beyond COVID? And do you have a structured plan in place? The pandemic hasn't created change, it's accelerated change. So industries have always been changing. This is nothing new. The pandemic has just quickened some of this effect. For example, the shift in office-based workers, the shift was already happening where people were working more and more from home. The pandemic has just accelerated this. The issue that we had early on was IT infrastructure, which caused the pain, laptops, Wi-Fi signals, ergonomics. Businesses weren't ready for the sudden switch. But now we're having to think more around how do we manage our team, how do we develop, and how do we recruit remotely. A change will happen again, maybe not to this degree, but shifts will always be occurring. There's some questions you'll see on the screen just now where some areas your business might want to think about. Many businesses at the moment are still working out how they're reacting with COVID and have taken their eye off the ball from the long term. Don't miss the shift in your industry. So from coffee shops who are now turning digital, taking home delivery orders, to manufacturers shifting their products, product output, and even what they produced. Talent planning for your business to ensure you have the right people at the right place is now one of the top priorities. You need to think, what does your business need for the future and how do you bridge that gap? So scanning your horizon, I've picked 3 industries. However, skills need to be transferable across all of them, and they're all transferable across the majority of industries. So we're going to have 8.5 billion people on the planet by 2030. Scary thought, with over 1 billion will be over the age of 65. So under transport, the world is getting smaller. The pandemic has proven this. What will the future transportation look like in 10 to 20 years' time? This is what millennials and Generation Z will be looking at. Space travel is a booming industry at the moment, not really in our day-to-day thought process because we just don't have deep enough pockets, but We said the same thing about cars, computers, mobile phones in the 70s and 80s. With the introduction of private business such as Virgin Galactic and SpaceX, they are ever looking for the next generation, the next bit of tech, new designers, specialists to deliver their vision. Physical retail. We've all seen the pain of physical retail on the high street decline. However, COVID has brought a new sense of optimism. So pre-COVID, when speaking to consumers, they didn't like the decline of the high street. However, they still didn't shop there. Customer habits and movements are key. What do customers want? Hassle-free, they're time poor, and are cost conscious, but the high streets didn't keep pace. How many times have you walked into your shop wanting to buy something and you hear, sorry, we're out of stock. Why don't you go home and order it online? What an opportunity missed for that business. So new service interventions need to happen. As an example, get it home before I do. So you do your shop in the shop, you don't take anything away, but by the time you get home, your goods are sitting there. And why should I shop with you? Businesses are needing to create emotional service experience. Customers feel special when they arrive and when they leave, and creates a reason for their return. And our high streets need to keep pace with this reasoning. Environment, embracing transparency. So to be blunt, we don't have a choice. Each successive generation will expect more openness from companies to buy from and who they work for. Climate change will be unrelenting. Droughts and flooding, new innovation and solutions will be needed. New ways of producing power, connecting customers, and battery operation are just some of the tech areas that we'll need in the future, and therefore the skills needed to produce this. We all know technology is going to play a big part, but a future workforce don't all have to be computer geniuses and code writers. Yes, we do need them, but we still need people to communicate, relate, design, service, and produce. All sectors will still exist. Some will be dramatically different than others. So, a question for you all. Why should we invest in development? So I'm going to throw up my whiteboard, and what would be really good if you can let me know, why do you think we should invest in development, whether that's personal development or whether that is business development. If you don't know how to do this, at the top of the screen there's an annotate button. You'll be able to press that, and then there's a text. If you press text, the big T, you should be able to type in your answers into the white screen. Hopefully you can see that. So thanks all for typing that in. I'm just going to give you some of my thoughts of why we should be investing in development. I'm going to save that down, but you can keep typing, hopefully. So I'm going to pick out three points. So some of them you picked. I think customer service was in there, and aging workforce, etc. So I'm just going to pick three out. These are some of the ideas that came out from another group a while ago. So thinking customer. Your customers are looking for you to have a bit of specialness. So when was the last time you surprised and delighted a customer? And do you understand the customer needs, wants, and trends? and are you agile enough to react to this? So investing in customer service, thinking customer is an important area to make sure you're keeping in touch with what the customers are thinking. Defines your culture, creates trust internally and externally, creates loyalty, and provides long-term relationships with clients and your people. And last one I'm going to pick out is around employee engagement. So creating a speak up culture, invites a challenge, allows business to hear the voice of their people. And as business leaders, you hear the issues firsthand. You're able to head them off quickly and create a plan to do so. So for the employee, they feel their voice is heard, creates trust and improves efficiencies. So developing your people through many areas, not only just is a nice thing to do, but creates a culture within your business, creates empowerment for your people, as well as your customer service. So how should businesses prepare? Investing in innovation talent. Having the right mix of people within your business will create capacity to be agile when things change again, and they will change again. Talents who have hybrid skills will be key aspect. So no longer are we looking for IT consultants that can't talk to clients but are great at what they do. We now need people who are great with people as well as with systems. New innovations will come from diversity of people in your team, from different backgrounds, cultures, and countries. Strategic leaders are considering today, tomorrow, and also the distant future. Leaders are needing to be more in tune with what's happening in the here and now and in the future. Where in the past you could have one eye on the future, now you need to have both eyes in the future as well as both feet in the current situation. Engage everyone in the sphere of business world on climate. Climate change is not going away, as we touched on before, and it's a big threat on how business is done. The next generation is already asking questions and demanding change. Your business needs to have its values aligned to how it operates in this space and how businesses are being held accountable. To attract the best talent, you need to ensure you overcome these obstacles. And the last point is considering the human aspect of business more. I call this the healthiest human system. Your people plan needs to consider the health and well-being of its people. COVID has brought this to the forefront, with businesses creating mindfulness sessions, well-being being higher on the agenda. People performance and how people are managed is moving away from a cyclical appraisal system and more into dynamic conversation. Line managers are having to skill themselves and manage a team more remotely. So if you didn't think development was for you, then let's look at it from a different angle. Developing your people will reduce risk, helps prevent customer complaints, reduces financial risk and monetary loss, brand impact and damage reputation of your brands, and reduces waste and downtime of your people. Staff costs, there's no need to recruit and train new people at a high staff turnover level. It will always be good to have new talent, but at a sustainable rate, and better reliability of staff and less sickness. You create profits, your people are more efficient, capability to create service experiences even if they don't directly serve customers, opportunities to create revenue and improve profit margins. And around products and markets, makes a creative space for your people to look beyond your current practices, opens up new ideas and innovation in products, creates a solid foundation. So if you create a solid foundation in your business plan, you'll connect to your community. Such as an important part of business strategy, which I'll talk about later when we talk about connecting with a young workforce. Have social responsibility, maintain local market loops, creates brand value and trust, and you stay ahead of your industry. So let's take an example of developing skills and what happens if we don't. So first generation will not know what life is like without the wheel. We can all relate to that, to the mobile phone. So I was 16 when I got my first mobile phone, but the generations now are growing up with mobile phones constantly with them. However, I'm going to talk about the wheel. The wheel has gone through many iterations through its time, allowed us to create new technologies and innovations. it would never have happened if we didn't learn, pass on skills, and develop ourselves. The first wheel was actually a potter's wheel created around 6000 BC, where it was told someone saw the spinning of a bead on a thread, and it took a long time for the potter's wheel to turn 90 degrees to create the wheel we now know. So, what if we didn't invest in our skills? We've all heard the saying, let's not reinvent the wheel. If we had this mindset, then we'd all be riding around like Fred Flintstone in their car. Other people would be ahead of the curve. Sometimes we do need to nurture the skills to reinvent the wheel. Why is that? It creates something amazing. By developing the strengths of our people and investing in our people, we have managed to connect ourselves to any part of the world, transport goods from any corner of the globe, manage to get into space, land rovers, and explore other planets. The invention of the wheel and its development happened by people, by the skills that were developed and strengthened to ensure your business has the talent and ability to stay ahead in the field you're operating in. Sometimes the wheel does need to be reinvented. So, what does the future of the wheel look like? How will it be reinvented next? And who will do it? What is your wheel look like? The future of your business and its people. So a question for you. Does your business have a people plan? We won't delve into this. We can talk about it in a Q&A at the end. But just a thought for you. Does your business have a people plan? If you're a solo business, so you don't have a team, it's still important to be developing yourself. How do you keep ahead of your business? Do you have a personal development plan that ensures that you're staying ahead of your field? And how do you do that? What is your 3-year, 5-year plan? So I'm going to tell you a story about strengths and about developing ourselves. The path of most resistance. So Tom Rath, from cradle to grave, to cradle to cubicle, we devote more time in our shortcomings than our strengths. So a little story. We're preset with wanting to overcome our weaknesses, become something we're not. So a story about a gentleman called Rudy Rutdigger. He was a 23-year-old groundskeeper at Notre Dame Stadium, a university in Indiana, USA. In fact, there was a movie made of him called Rudy in 1993. I'm not sure if anybody saw that movie or not. He was 5'6", and he was 74 kilos. So pretty much me. But so therefore didn't have the physical ability to play the game of big-time American football. But he had heart. Rudy worked tirelessly to gain entry into university so he could play American football. He actually got in, and soon after he earned a spot in the practice squad. And for 2 years, Rudy practiced. He took a daily hammering, but he was never allowed to join the team on the sidelines. After 2 seasons of trying, he did actually get a chance. On the final game of his senior year, he was asked to join the sideline. In the dying moments of the game where victory was assured, his teammates lobbied his coach to put Rudy in the game, and which he did. And this thrusted Rudy into the limelight. So for the first play, he made 1 tackle on the opposing team's quarterback. A dramatic moment. And Rudy became an instant hero. Fans chanting his name. He met President Clinton, Colin Powell, and the American football legend Joe Montana. While his perseverance was admirable, in the end, he only played a few seconds and made 1 tackle after thousands of hours of practice. Though inspirational, there is a problem. We celebrate those who overcome 1 in a million odds and miss the individuals who have natural talents. Where we focus on those innate talents, we'll build on those and to become strengths. That's when magic happens. So think about your teams and your business strengths, your business strategy, your people plan. Do you have the right talent in the right place? And how do you build on those talents you do have? So a lot to think about there. I'll take any questions now, I suppose, before I move into part 2, which is the future workforce. Any questions, or I'll move on? I'm going to take silence as a no, and I shall move on. Future workforce. So I'm really pleased to have two people in the room, two youngsters in the room. And I'm going to just share. I'm going to just stop sharing. So come back to the main screen. Ida and Cameron, there you are on my screen. So I've known these two since they are still teenagers, in fact, since they were 14, I think, 15, and they were part of my youth group. And what I want the two of them to do is just talk about their skill sets, their future aspirations, to come from a young person's point of view, a young adult's point of view. So Ida, we're going to kick off with you if you're all right.
Yeah, that's fine. Hi, I'm Ida. As Moiz just said, I'm 18 and currently I work in McDonald's, and I have been for the past few months, which is obviously, when you think McDonald's, you think, oh, fast food, like, you think, obviously you're not gonna, the what's the word for it? The stereotypes of someone who works at McDonald's aren't the best a lot of the time. And before I went into the fast food industry, I didn't really think I would be able to gain much out of it, except for a flexible, steady job before university. But looking back, like I've been working there for a few months now, and I've actually gained so many life skills that I didn't think I would be able to gain. So like, first of all, it was my first ever job, and I'd never spoken to customers in that kind of work environment, so it was really new to me, and I kind of got thrown into the deep end, which was, at first it was quite scary, but looking back, like, it really helped me out, because I would not have been able to deal with complaints and deal with angry customers before, but now, having been face to face with them every day on a constant basis, you know, it's really good for my communication skills. It's really helped me out, and it's helped me out with my confidence as well. Like, before I started working there, believe it or not, I was quite shy. I was too scared to like talk to my co-workers and stuff. I was nervous around them, but now, even just a few months in, like, it's really made a difference to my confidence and speaking to people, like the adaptability, because I'm starting my journey to become a paramedic next month at the University of Stirling, and obviously adaptability is a huge part of that career that I want to go forward with. And just in McDonald's, like, I've had to like switch stations in an instant, and I've had to like switch my language skills with people such as like customers, and then switch to like complicated language about like the grills and stuff with my co-workers. So it's really helped me out with my adaptability, and it's going to help me out in my future, and it's helped me with my teamwork as well, really. Like, as I was saying, I was too scared to talk to my co-workers at first, but my teamwork now, I know how to work with each person and what each person does differently, and how I can help them out and stuff, and how I can help them out in their own way without being too aggressive with the over-helpness. Or so as I was saying, I want to become a paramedic, so hopefully after the 3 years at university, I'll become a qualified paramedic and go out, and then I'll see what happens then. If I still want to continue on with that, maybe I'll go forward in the progression, and maybe I'll switch to something new. But as Moiz was saying, you know, everything's changing always, so there might be a career out there in the future that I'll do that doesn't exist now, but I'll have to wait and see, and I'm always looking to develop my skills. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you.
Thanks, Ida.
Thanks.
Cameron.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Cameron. I'm 17, and I'm, like, as of September, I'll be a med student at Glasgow. So I left school, well, was kind of forced out of school in March thanks to COVID, and then I've kind of spent 6 months of my life doing not very much. But I do have quite a lot of work experience from obviously applying to medicine, so I needed to go through like NHS work experience, and I did a lot of volunteering from St Andrew's point of view with Moiz and Ida, and also with a disabled scout group that's kind of local to my area. So from that, I did gain a lot of skills like compassion and empathy, that type of thing. But I'm going to focus more on my paid employment, which was a play scheme worker at East Dunbartonshire Council. So basically what that means is you're effectively like a classroom assistant or a teacher during the school holidays, and you go in and you help the kids out with any activities that they need doing, and you structure the day from A to Z. So a lot of them have like disabilities, special needs. So it could be cystic fibrosis, it could be autism, and anything in between. So you really get to adapt to your outlook on things and kind of motivate yourself sometimes, because they don't give a lot back sometimes. So I think it's increased my independence myself, and it's helped me being able to communicate to other individuals, maybe in a verbal way, in a non-verbal way, and in a written way. I've also learned some Makaton, which is like basic sign language, which has come in really helpful in some occasions, especially at football and stuff, with St Andrews, because like different people have different communication levels, and it's just a really, really basic way of communicating with all different types of people. And I've started learning Arabic out of that, just because a couple of my mates are Arabic. So I thought they learned English to speak to me, so I may as well learn Arabic and speak to them. But yeah, I'm just kind of looking at all my skills and try to develop them as much as I can in the spare time that I have. And if any business can help me do that, then I'd be more than happy to join. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Obviously, future aspirations for me, I want to finish med school and then become a doctor, and yeah, basically.
Thanks, Cameron. And I think everybody will wants to thank both of you for sharing your thoughts. And I thought really important to put the young people's voice in a room, and actually just hear why is it important for businesses to invest in young people, whether that is directly investing in them through apprenticeship schemes, which we'll talk about next, etc., or Kickstart programs, or indirectly where it's actually just supporting handheld or mentoring young people, whether that's in schools or colleges, etc. And I know Oumar will expound on that a lot more. But really important that we nurture our youngsters. They are the future, and we've got one of us, I'm sure, is going to be going to Cameron at some point as the doctor, and hopefully we're not going to see Ida picking us up from from the floor. But they are our future, and future development and future skills is such an important piece. So I'm just going to dive back, not too long. I'm just going to share my screen again. Here we go. So I'm going to talk about two areas: so apprenticeship scheme and Kickstart. There are other programs you can see there, so job retention and training scheme. Some of them are not Scotland based; they'll be England only. However, if you are looking for more information, if your head office is down in England, etc., then you can give me a shout. We can certainly talk about it in a lot more detail. Mentoring circles is something that's really, really close to my heart, and I'll expand on it if we've got time. But I'm certainly happy at talking to somebody about it on a one-to-one basis if needed. But just we'll touch on apprenticeships when my laptop decides to move. There we go. So this is going to focus on Scottish apprenticeships. So it's a flexible way to develop your workforce, addresses skill gaps. An apprenticeship is effectively job in training, and it leads to an approved qualification, so a structured training program, and gives you a qualification at the end of it. It's available to anybody who's over the age of 16. There's no age limit on who can apply, and it's open to any business. So even if you're here as a solo business or a small micro business, you can still have an apprentice join your business, especially if you're looking to grow. And certainly I've got a colleague that when I was doing some work within the apprenticeship scheme in corporate world, we had colleagues who went through the program, and I've got a good friend of mine who's in the graduate program now in the banking sector, and in his second year, and he's 40 years old. So again, there's no limits to this. There's 3 types of apprenticeships in Scotland. So foundation apprenticeships, which are designed for young people in S5, S6, 16 plus age group to gain valuable real experiences and access work-based learning in the senior year at school. And it provides young people a head start in their career, and it also gives them industry recognized qualification and the experiences employers are looking for. And I believe there's around 5,000 foundation apprenticeships available in Scotland. The other one is modern apprenticeships. So this is where individuals are learning on the job. You get experience you need, you work towards a recognised qualification again, and you're being paid as you would a normal employee in a job. And there are more opportunities open up for people who are over the age of 25. And there's also enhanced contributions for young disabled people and those who have experienced care as well. And the last one is the graduate scheme, which is a graduate level apprenticeship. It enables people to study for degree level courses while in employment. And it's mainly targeted for employees and employers who are looking for high level of academic qualification within their industry. So how are they funded? So all the apprenticeship schemes are funded. There's a contribution that goes towards the cost of the training and assessing, and the total amount paid depends on the amount of the type of apprenticeship, the qualification level, and the age, etc. So I can't give specific examples because it does depend on your industry and other sort of qualifying factors. There are times where training can cost higher than the contribution. So depending on the apprenticeship type being delivered, the learning provider may ask you for additional contribution. So just be aware of that. You may need to shop around learning providers to find the right provider for you. And then paying apprenticeships or paying your apprentices, and it's just like any other employer. There's an expectation. There is no amount set, but it encouraged to pay living wage. However, you must pay the national minimum wage. And just lastly, around training. So it's around the qualifications as SEQF level 5 to level 12, which is a doctorate degree, where funding contribution can be found. And apprenticeships run from under a year to 4 years. It depends on the course that you're going to be working on. The last piece around apprenticeships is as you as employers will need to be developing these apprentices, mentoring them, on-the-job training, etc. So there is that investment of time that needs to be given to these individuals. I'm just going to touch on the Kickstart program. This is a brand new program that the UK government has introduced directly due to the pandemic. So there's over £2 billion of funding that's been pumped into this program. It's still at the policy writing stage. I was at a policy group last week. They're hoping to have applications go live in August. Oumar might be able to give more. I'm not sure whether he will, but there might be he might have some further insight. Hopefully in August we'll have applications going live with the thought of people starting in roles and jobs in October. The key elements are it needs to be a genuine vacancy. It's targeting at the moment 16 to 24-year-olds who are on universal credit or at risk of long-term unemployment. And the funding will be 100% of the national minimum wage and national insurance costs for a 6-month period. So this is a hope that the individual will be taken on beyond the 6 months as a permanent position within employment. But as I say, policy is still being written around these, so it could change. And just flowing into sort of my final parts, current challenges. So COVID has accelerated change faster than ever before, and businesses are playing catch up in how their policies and procedures work. So we've touched on future workforce. So you've heard, hopefully, you've heard from Ida and Cameron, and you can see opportunities for your business through the apprenticeship scheme or Kickstart programs. But there are a few areas you may need to work on, in particular, if you've got teams working remotely. So I'm just going to touch on a few of these very quickly. So induction. Traditional induction programs now need to catch up with the future way of working. So before, we were able to spend time with someone side by side in an office, and we were able to loosen the strings, but we were able to keep an eye on them. That's now changing, as we know that distancing, people were working remotely. So can you and your leadership teams spend that time in induct someone in a business, and how do you do that? So as an experience that I created in one of the businesses was creating bite-sized induction programs over Zoom, creating induction think pads and New Starter Academy. So there are solutions to these problems. Technology is a big one. Consideration needs to be made of equipment, what type of equipment people need. And Jason's in the room, who's a specialist in this area. There are funding options available, but there are tools available for taking new starters on, and what would be needed for them. There is performance management. So now there's evidence that people working from home, it's created loads of efficiency. However, it's become, as this becomes the norm, how do managers and leaders support their staff in development? How do we do all of this? So there's introductions to everyday performance discussions. We no longer wait for the end of the month. We do drop-in sessions, we do one-to-one team meetings, etc., to keep in contact with our people to ensure that we're constantly developing them. And then I'm going to touch on home working policies. The pace of change is phenomenal. So have you caught up with that? Are you clear with how your employees need to be working, risks they need to be aware of, and the processes that need to be followed if things change? So we've touched on a lot, and I'm really conscious of that. We've touched on, is your business thinking ahead? Do you have a people plan? How does your business prepare? Importance of developing your people and playing to your strengths. We met Ida and Cameron, giving their insights into their future skills and how businesses have supported them and helped them deliver skills at a young age. We've talked about apprenticeships and Kickstart and the current challenges. So as I say, I understand that's a lot. And as my business is developing programs, growth programs, in all the areas we've discussed today, assisting with people strategy, creating skill gap analysis, etc., and development programs for people. So if you're interested in any of that, interested in just wanting to have a chat, my details are on the screen. Grab some time in the diary, and let's have a conversation. That's it from me. So Damon, I'm going to pass over to you.
Thanks very much, Moiz. Well, that was, if you could bung your details in the chat bar as well to make it easy for people to grab as well. And if people want to cut and paste that, or you can actually download the chat if you click on the 3 buttons at the bottom of the chat at the end of the session. But no, thank you so much for that. There was some really sort of inspirational and sort of razor sharp sort of insights, I think, as part of that presentation. No, it was great delivery as well to keep it very interesting and relevant. So thank you so much for that, Moiz. What we thought we'd do would be useful is to have Oumar from Developing Young Workforce give a follow-up to that, to have a look at some of the, expanding on some of the more practical opportunities for businesses to help support young people in the workplace and develop them. And Oumar's based in East Dunbartonshire, but every area has a developing young workforce. We have close links with the West as well. And if you know anyone from outside the area, every area has a presence. So this will be relevant for everyone. So if I can pass across to you now, Oumar, at that point.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Oumar Akram, and I don't think I can outdo Moiz on his approach, and I certainly can't outdo Ida and Cameron. Hearing from young people is always the best, and I've not heard from any young person for quite some months because the schools have been closed. So thanks for that, guys, and thank you as a reminder as well. And Cameron, I hope some of the work experience that you got came from your school, because if it's not, it was probably me that gets in trouble for it. So my presentation will be really short, because I think Moiz has covered some of that anyway. So let's find my presentation and we'll give it a try. So that's me, Oumar Akram, DYW. We covered the Lanarkshire and East Dunbartonshire area. I know it's a bit of an odd mix, but it's based on where the college footprint is. So New College, Lanarkshire.
Sorry, Oumar, just to interrupt, could you play slideshow just so it's slightly bigger for us? Thanks. I know you can't see that, so it's always difficult.
Sorry, guys. So we cover North Lanarkshire. So between me and my colleague, we've got about 60 schools almost in our portfolio, and it's only 2 of us, so it's quite mental. The programme itself came about from 2013 after the Scottish Government did a report to support young people through employment. At the time, we had a really poor unemployment rate for young people, and as you can see from my slide, we're 3rd at the bottom of the 20 countries, so it's pretty poor. But in recent months, as I said, we've been in the top 4. I think we're at top 5 at the moment. So it's a nice place to be. Our policy of developing young workforce also won like an award at the recent future policy for young people at a Geneva Convention. And the next bit is about youth employment. So we've reduced the youth employment by 40% that we had an objective for, and we achieved that just a few months ago. So this slide is a wee bit, well, we planned it for 21 and we've already hit it. So it's good times for us. Well, it's not, because COVID hit. So it's not good times for everyone. So we expect that number to go up again. So like Damien said, there's DYW across the whole of Scotland. So it's 21 different groups. We've got roughly about 363 schools, and now the primary schools are coming on board as well. We mainly support young people that are leaving schools, so similar to Ida and Cameron. So we need to make sure that these young people are moving into positive destinations. So college, university, apprenticeships, work agreements, activity agreements. So there's got to be something in place, and there's loads of opportunity nowadays for them to be in something. There's no reason for them to be unemployed. So these are some of our key targets, is to make sure that all of our schools have got a business partner. So for example, today I did one with Beauclair High. They're about to build a new school, and Beauclair's new business partner is going to be a big, huge construction company called McLaughlin and Harvey. Pretty much all my schools in Eastern Berkshire have got a business partner, I'm sure. I'm meant to be checking in with them at the moment because quite a few of them have been furloughed and now they're back. So we'll see where we stand. Encourage employers to go into schools and see what kind of workforce they want as well. So for example, I'll give you recently we got Arnold Clark, and they've got a huge apprenticeship program where we take on loads of apprentices into their branches, whether it be sales staff or mechanics. And in order for them to choose what kind of candidates they wanted, they actually helped write some of the curriculum back in school. So when it comes to like maths and helping their tests. So it's just engaging employers back into school, increasing the number of employers offering work placements. So we need every kid to leave in school to have some kind of work experience under their belt. That's really important for us, and I'll come on to that later. And the lastly is about apprenticeships, which Moiz has touched on, but I'll mention briefly towards the end. First success for us is mainly young people moving into positive destinations. It's a must for us. There is no reason for a young person not to be in employment. Honestly, I'd be really disappointed in myself if I had people in my region and I didn't have anything. And I'd have it like a personal responsibility of obviously making sure that this young person was moving into something good. Behavioural change. So we've got to continue this. We've got to change families in some aspects as well. So therefore, I was on a radio show the other day about exam results, and I said that some of the communities are snobby towards apprenticeships, and a caller called in and gave me a wee telling off for saying that people are snobby. Traditionally, people have always thought of college and university, but I said to them that there's other avenues as well, and we should look down the apprenticeship path, and that's where I got pulled up for it. But I was just trying to encourage the people that are listening into the radios that there's loads of other opportunities. You know, like for example, the young lady, Ida, she's about to go and do, I know you mentioned Stirling University, Glasgow Caledonian, and do a course for the paramedic as well. I think they do an apprenticeship as well, I'm pretty sure. There's no apprenticeship for medicine, sadly, and I don't think there will be either. But there's still other opportunities that people can explore by going through the NHS. NHS itself is a huge employer for I think it's probably the second or third biggest employer in Europe. And there's other avenues to get into it, opposed to just doing medicine. You know, when you think NHS, you think doctor, dentist, but there's so much more that goes into the building that's along the road from me, which is the Queen Elizabeth. It's just so much more. The benefits of an organisation. So we're obviously ultimately similar to what Moiz mentioned. We're preparing your workforce. It's helping your recruitment strategy as well. So therefore, you don't have to be paying out recruitment companies. You can start from a young age. You can bring in young people from a young age, and obviously hopefully see them grow. Develop your own staff skill sets as well. So, for example, I work in an office, and I think I'm one of the youngest, apart from the two apprentices that we have, and that's saying something. And I'm not really that young. And it's just one of the best things is fresh ideas and the fresh energy that young people bring, and that's one of the things I always promote. Marketplace. This is a website for putting up opportunities. So if there's an employers on this that are looking to engage with the school, you can obviously do it through myself, and I can put that out for you if you've got a school in mind. Or if you're national, you can go onto Marketplace and put out opportunities. And there's another place for parents to go as well. So if you have any parents on just now and they're looking for things for their kids, they can go onto these websites like Marketplace. And there's a new one launched in recent weeks from Skills Development Scotland called My Kids Careers, or mykidscareer.com, or .co.uk rather. And these are just small websites that you should maybe go and get some guidance from as well at the same time. This is the apprenticeships that Moiz covered. So there's 3. There is foundation while you're still at school, and a young person can come into your business and do a day's work experience. Now, one of the best ones that is known for is the engineering one. So young people go out and get some experience. And the other one is marketing and IT. So these young folk are much better than what I am on Snapchat and Instagram. And there's that's where everything's happening apparently. And you can get a young person, come in, do some work experience, and do your social media almost. And that's it. So a foundation apprenticeship doesn't cost you anything. A modern apprenticeship is when somebody comes in and works with yourself. You can do that through work-based learning, where somebody comes into your office, a training company, to deliver the training, or you can send a young person out to the college once or twice a week or so, or whichever way the curriculum works. And the last one is a graduate one. Now, not try to do anybody a disservice, but my favourite graduate one is the Morgan Stanley one, or the JP Morgan one, because it sells the best. 4 days at JP Morgan, 1 day at Strathclyde University, and a 25 grand salary for about 4 years. You just can't knock it. These are the frameworks that you get from a foundation apprenticeship, but I'm not really going to go into that because I think there's 80 different apprenticeship frameworks covered. And for the foundation one, there's about 20 or so. But if there's anybody that's looking to take somebody on, then I'm happy to obviously look into the frameworks that'll cover your business. The last thing I do is I was targeted by the government to get more young people into work experience, like I mentioned about Cameron, hopefully going from school, and Ida. And I thought, opposed to chapping people's doors, why don't I set up a company, I set up a website where people can advertise their jobs free of charge and young people can get direct access to it. So I came up with My Saturday Job. Now, it's a free to use website. It's similar to like an S1 Jobs if anybody's used one. So you can go on it. If you're a business, you can advertise your opportunity free of charge. It'll come through to me. I'll make sure it's nothing dodgy. And then I'll put it live. And then it goes out to local schools. So for example, if it's in Bearsden, if there's a job in Bearsden, I'll go out to local schools in Bearsden. If it's a job in Dundee, I'll go to the local schools in Dundee. You're not gonna get jobs from Inverness coming through to you. And applications come directly into your inbox. So just a wee website for you guys, mysaturdayjob.co.uk, free to use, and it's pretty straightforward, I guess. And that's me. One of the things I want to mention is that I took out the slide on funding. So if there's any employers looking for funding, right, there's usually an incentive called Scottish Employer Recruitment Incentive, which got changed to No One Left Behind, and it's about £4,000 per year that's given out to an employer for taking on an apprentice. At the moment, we're still waiting for the government to confirm, so that's part of the reason I've taken it out. But I would encourage any employer that's looking to take somebody on, I can check to see if it's available in your area because it's distributed by the local authority opposed to the government directly. So that's me, but we're based over at Barnclouth in Townhead, in Hamilton rather. If you're popping by, then feel free to come in. I'll make you one of my terrible coffees. And that's it. Thank you very much.
That's great, Oumar. Thank you very much for that. It's given us a bit of context for people who might be interested in that. So I think obviously I think this is really valuable information, whether it's to take to clients like some of the people here have, but I know there's a couple of members here that have just come on to get a bit of a sort of update on the current state of play and finding out what's out there and available. Obviously. I'll mention a couple by name. So Jason from Columbus, UK, is sort of looking for a sort of IT technical side, digital side of things, and John, who runs electrical, is also recruiting young people and training them up in his business. So I think these things are really relevant. So I have to say thanks to our wonderful membership as well for supporting young people, sometimes not through the schemes themselves, just by taking young people on and giving them the opportunity locally, as I know particularly John has in his area in terms of developing our local skills. So there's a huge amount to be said, and what that does, I'll just get on my hobby horse here for the area. It creates a much stronger economy, a much broader skill base, and helps create value for all of us in our local area, sort of thing. So has anyone got any specific questions they'd like to ask? Absolutely anything. There's there's a couple Oumar and Moiz here to answer anything you can, or as I said, you can do a follow-up with that. So just put your hand up in the screen if you've got any questions, anyone. No? Okay, well, I know we'll work. Oh, there's Jason.
Hi there, guys. Hi, Moiz. Hi, Oumar. As Damon mentioned, I work for a company called Columbus UK. We're based at the Mulgai Enterprise Centre, and we're a managed service provider, and we provide IT and communication services. And we're incredibly busy, and at the point where we need to grow our team. And I thought the best way of doing that is through apprenticeships. And I've been in discussions with Damon, and we need to reinforce our business in lots of areas, but starting with IT support. So the interpersonal skills, talking to people, and being able to have the IT skills to solve issues is really important to me. But I'm right at the beginning of the journey, and understanding the difference between the apprenticeship options, what funding is available, all those things, I'm completely new. So in terms of a starting point, Moiz, I know we're going to kick off and have a meeting tomorrow, but just getting the information and getting the right advice to get the apprentice scheme up and running, where do you start, and what are the pitfalls in your opinion? Where can businesses go wrong if they've no experiences of apprenticeships? I think probably would Oumar answer that.
Yeah, happily. Jason, thanks very much for your question. I think the apprenticeships have been made slightly easier by introducing the new foundation apprenticeships. So what we could potentially do is that the schools have just came back at the moment. If you were to look maybe to take somebody on through a foundation apprenticeship, there's no cost to you whatsoever. There's a person coming into you once a week, doing whatever role that you're looking for them to be a part of. There'll be a framework in place for them as well. And if it's something that worked for you and for the young person, you thought it's an extended interview almost. And if you thought they were a good fit, then you just change that over either into a modern apprenticeship, which is usually a training provider college-based, or a graduate apprenticeship, which is with one of the universities. It just really depends on which one you want. But what we could do is after this call, if I can send you some more information about the apprenticeship. I can send you some more case studies of small businesses that have done this as well already, and happy to discuss it in detail with you as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay.
That's great. I should, in the interest of fairness as well, we do have some probably slightly more commercial operators who I guess sit alongside DYW. So it's probably worth having a conversations. I don't know what your experience, Oumar, is with some of these, but I know East Dunbartonshire Council, for instance, have used them to provide, particularly in the digital side. Is it QA? Is that one of them?
Yeah, QA apprenticeships. Yeah, they're a good organisation. See, the thing is that I think in Jason's case, he's more interested in the young person he finds first. So we'll find a good fit for his organisation, and then we'll worry about the training at a later date. It just really depends on which one. So QA is IT based, like Tigers. They're based in East Dunbartonshire, but they're more like construction based. We'll find a good fit for you. Don't worry.
No, that's.
I've got a quick question. It's possibly not relevant.
That's really useful. All right, go for it.
Just a quick question for Ida and Carmen, and it might not be relevant to this, but how do you feel about the current situation, having to, what's happened with your school, the end of your school career and stuff like that? Has it affected you at all?
Well, I left school last year, but for my brothers, I have two younger brothers. One's started 5th year today and one started 3rd year today. And for them, I have a lot of friends in the year below as well that have left this year, and it's obviously with no exams and stuff. Like, for example, yesterday, I think John Swinney released a statement about the exam results being raised but not lowered based on teacher what's the word, like expectations or the guesses they put, estimations they put in.
Yep.
And one of my friends personally, she had got in touch with John personally to, like, because she was targeted at an A1 but she got a B in chemistry, and she wants to go into dentistry, and it's obviously that's a huge throw off for her, because obviously the better the exam results, the better for her to, the more chances she has to get in. So for her personally, it's affected her a lot, and the whole results day she was upset, and I don't know, like at work it's really affected her mental health as well. But now that that's happened, it's 10 times better for her, and she's hopefully going to get the A, so it's going to all work out in the end. But it's weird, my brother's going back, and it's weird in general. You could never expect something like this. I can't believe it's happened, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's been weird. Personally, that's it. That's the only way I could describe it. Weird.
What about yourself, Carmen, with you leaving this year?
Yeah, I left in March, kind of got forced out, but yeah, it was alright. I was kind of ready to leave, if you know what I mean. I would have left in 5th year. Would have got into uni type thing, but obviously Glasgow doesn't really accept anyone without advanced hires and stuff, so I had to stay for exams. So I went through exams, and well, I kind of went through exams as it's called, but yeah, it was alright. On results day I was kind of nervous because I hadn't actually sat the paper. I hadn't got an idea of what it was going to be like and what the kind of outcome of it was, but it ended up being okay. But I know a lot of my friends got absolutely hammered by them, and it wasn't the best day for them. So it was a lot of consoling them generally.
That's interesting. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but I was just interested in how you felt with it all. But that's good. Well, good luck to the future anyway.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Oumar, are you?
Oh, sorry.
Trying to come in, you take your mute off with your chatting.
Sorry, I made a mistake. I'm sure Cameron was one of the guys at George Square protesting.
I wasn't allowed to go, but yeah, I would have been there, but wasn't allowed to go.
Yeah, he is a troublemaker.
Very good.
I agree with that one, Moiz.
Okay, so yeah, and thanks to Philip as well. So I guess I should just give ourselves a plug. So Philip's director of the Chamber of Commerce, runs a electronics company in Clydebank. So again, you know, part of developing the skills in our area and creating jobs. And he also sits on the board of Developing Young Workforce West. So again, another good contact within the network there. So no, I should also say, just for those of you who don't know, this is very much part of our Building Bridges program that we've got within the Chamber, which sits alongside all of the other activities. It was very much because we really are the sort of first point of contact for many businesses in our area. So we, along with a few other chambers, felt it was really important to have our own skills service and program. So that's been something we're putting together and hosting these sort of events to try and facilitate all the hard work of others and the educated schools in our area, and trying to connect the businesses as much as we can. So that's just to set a bit of context. So unless there's any other questions, I think we'll wrap up there. So again, thank you all for participating. That's really important that we spread this really important knowledge that businesses are kind of aware of the opportunities. And thank you to all of our participants in terms of presentations. You know, obviously it was great to have Cameron and Ida coming in, giving a very sort of personal experience of those things, and that's maybe we'll be in contact with some of our building bridges sort of areas to try and get you to, because I think you're absolutely right that hearing from young people is really inspiring. And thanks to Oumar, and particularly obviously Moiz, for helping to sort of pull this all together in the first place. So thank you very much, guys, and have a good day. Cheers.